Assassin's Creed Valhalla game review. Hello beautiful people, in this video we will talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla game review. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was a disappointment on PS4, plagued by a constant and unending stream of bugs. An otherwise great open-world adventure was held back on Sony's last general console. Thank the Norse gods for PS5, then. The new system improves Valhalla massively, to the point where we could actually sit back and enjoy the game's intriguing storylines without having to worry about characters falling through the ground at random. Right, first things first, Valhalla looks fantastic on PS5. The lighting, the visual effects, the colors, everything looks more vibrant and detailed. It also runs at a silky 60 frames per second, giving the entire experience a smoothness that greatly benefits playability. Combat, though still a little bit rigid, feels so much better. Other actions, like climbing and even taking part in drinking contests, feel way more responsive. And then there are the load times, or lack thereof. Valhalla often took over a full minute and a half to load a save, or fast travel to a completely different location. On PS5, loading your progress from the main menu takes about 7 seconds. It's a jarring improvement. We had gotten used to getting a drink or checking our emails while waiting for Valhalla to load. Now we barely have the time to take a bite from a biscuit. By the way, we are gathering gamers and gaming lovers like you in our YouTube channel RAYAROZEN, so it would be nice if you join our gaming community by subscribing our YouTube channel. We upload a cool game stuff like gaming reviews, different gameplays, top 10 games compilations etc. It's not just the more obvious load screens that fall to the power of the PS5, either. When striking up a conversation with a character, Valhalla would sometimes cut to a black screen on PS4, as if the game was trying to keep up. On PS5, all of these little interactions are instant, as are the transitions between gameplay and cutscene. It's a truly seamless open world on the current general machine. But what about the bugs? Well, we're delighted to report that the experience is nowhere near as buggy on PS5. You literally couldn't go 10 seconds without seeing some kind of visual cock-up on PS4, but here, you'll get the odd wonky animation and that's about it. To be clear, Valhalla isn't bug-free on PS5, but it's still an immense improvement. The bottom line here is that it's now far easier to become immersed in what is a very good open-world RPG. Ubisoft's recreation of 9th century England is, at its best, quite breathtaking. When the lighting's just right and you look up to see the fields, forests, and mountains stretching on forever, it's easily one of the most striking open worlds in gaming. And visuals are important when you're spending over 100 hours with your Viking pals. Valhalla's map may not be as colossal as the whole of ancient Greece in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but it's the incredibly long main story that demands so much of your time. It's a gigantic game, but at least it'll keep you busy throughout the PS5's launch period. Assassin's Creed Valhalla in PS4 structure is what sets it apart from its immediate predecessors. Yes, it still boasts an open world that's packed with side quests and optional activities, but the emphasis on main story missions, spread out across numerous Norse and Saxon kingdoms, gives the game a kind of focus that Origins and Odyssey, in all of their bloat, simply didn't have. Most importantly, this allows the game's wider cast to actually make an impression. In both its writing and its storytelling, Valhalla is a clear cut above what's come before. To be clear, the bugs in Assassin's Creed Valhalla are mostly cosmetic, but they're absolutely everywhere. You'll struggle to play for more than 5 minutes without running into some kind of visual hitch, be it a broken character animation, a missing texture, or an enemy who just stands there doing nothing as you cave in his skull. We can handle the odd open world glitch, but these minor bugs really start to rack up, to the point where Valhalla feels unfinished. It would take far too long to list every bug that we encountered during our time in merry old England, so here are a couple of highlights. In one side quest, we saved a woman's pet fox from a burning building. The woman was badly injured, but she was able to say goodbye to her beloved beast before kicking the bucket. Touching stuff, except seconds later, she snapped to her feet and stood there looking at us like nothing had happened. Then she shouted something and ran off into the hills. Then the fox just blinked out of existence. Another side quest saw us rid a family's home of a foul stench. An annoyingly voiced child talked us into removing his father's rancid belongings, the source of the smell, but upon reporting the job completed, that same child stretched to the size of a small giant, towering over our character as we made conversation. We don't even know how bug like this is possible, but our only regret is that we didn't reach for the share button. Presumably because we couldn't believe what we were seeing. Each kingdom is defined by its own cast of characters in the task at hand. In one region, you might have to help a young prince ascend the throne by eliminating the opposition. In another, you may have to unite the peasantry against a rampaging Viking clan that's hellbent on terrorizing towns and villages. Although most missions do boil down to killing a bunch of baddies, they're given meaningful context through surprisingly sharp writing and a very well-rounded cast. The story's presentation isn't perfect thanks to some janky animations and the fact that most of our Norse heroes can't seem to decide on any kind of accent, but this is still the most ambitious and engaging narrative to ever grace Assassin's Creed. Even player choice has been given more weight, as your decisions can have lasting consequences on the country that you now call home. Speaking of home, Ivar's settlement, Ravensthorpe, is at the heart of almost everything that you do. It's a cozy countryside retreat that you can come back to at any time and develop with the resources that you've plundered throughout your adventures. It's where you'll meet new allies, hold feasts, and reflect on your journey. As far as hub locations in video games go, it's a very good one, and it fast becomes a place that you'll want to see thrive. Valhalla's focus on story also means that the open world doesn't feel anywhere near as cookie-cutter as it does in other Ubisoft games. For once, the map isn't completely coated in bandit camps and other throwaway activities. In terms of design, it feels much more organic, and whether they house an enticing secret or provide the backdrop for main quest, the majority of locations have personality and a purpose. There is, of course, still a lot of optional content to discover, but again, this is a notable refinement of the modern Assassin's Creed formula. But what about the old Assassin's Creed formula? Well, Valhalla looks to please disgruntled fans that feel as though the series has forgotten its roots. Make no mistake, this is still an open-world role-playing game in the same vein as Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey, but a number of traditional mechanics have made a return. Most notably, Ivar receives a hidden blade early on, allowing for all kinds of stealthy stabbings. There are also towns and cities where Vikings simply aren't welcome, and so if you want to avoid bloodshed, you can throw a hooded cloak across your shoulders and blend in with civilians to avoid detection. It's classic Assassin's Creed, and we didn't realize how much we missed it. There are times, however, when bloodshed is inevitable. Ivar is, after all, a strong-willed Viking who dreams of blood-stained glory, and so you'll often partake in raids and other huge battles where stealth isn't really an option. This is where the game's chunky combat system enters the equation, and to be frank, it doesn't make a great first impression. Compared to Origins and Odyssey, this feels more rigid and contextual. An all-new stamina bar ensures that you can't just dodge and roll your way to victory, forcing you to battle with composure and patience. Initially, it comes off as being poorly balanced. Boss enemies tend to have a huge amount of health, and chipping away at that big white bar feels like an exercise is tedium. But give it time, and the combat system does start to click, little by little. Skill books dotted across the open world grant you all sorts of abilities, while a sprawling skill tree lets you purchase both passive stat bonuses and all-important perks. What's more, an overhauled loot system makes each weapon and armor set feel unique. There are no random loot drops here. Every piece of gear that you find has its own identity, with exclusive stats and enchantments. Finding a new axe, great sword, or bow actually feels like you're being rewarded for your hard work, and you'll definitely want to scour the land for some of the game's most powerful equipment. Assassin's Creed Valhalla really comes together on PS5. Near instant load times combined with silky smooth performance make it a joyous open-world excursion, complete with an engrossing main story. What's more, the countless bugs that plagued the PS4 version of the game have, for the most part, been squashed. This is Ubisoft's best ever attempt at an open-world RPG in the vein of something like The Witcher 3, and while it is still a little rough around the edges, Valhalla leaves its mark as a top-tier entry in the Assassin's Creed series. So, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do like our video, make sure to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.